Okay, boys, I've talked to you both in the dressing room. You know what I expect. Stay professional, obey my commands, and most of all, protect yourself at all times. Good luck to you both.
Instructions from our referee, Mark Lyson.
Good shield. Time, please.
Seconds out, round one.
And here we go, this 12-rounder for the vacant IBF Intercontinental Flyweight title. And Tommy Frank in the white shorts trimmed with gold and black. Guarneros coming out quite rapid. It's been such a long time for Tommy Frank as well. He's got to keep composure. He's not boxed in over a year. Guarneros, well, this is his third fight this year. He boxed as recently as 30th of October. How much of an advantage does that give the Mexican, Glenn?
Well, you know, I mean, he's going to warm up sooner and loosen into it, you know what I mean? Because it's not long since he's been in the ring. But Tommy Frank started nice and sharp. You know, he really looks like he's been honing those tools in the gym. You know, he works hard. You know, he's really poised to make a name for himself in this division, and you know, I think he really wants it.
Well, good work from Guarneros, gets through and lands a couple, and again, well, Frank has to be careful. It's good work from the Mexican. I like the face of Frank. He's not been panicked by that.
No, I mean, that's good. That's you know, he's starting to mature as a fighter. You know, it's good when, you know, you haven't fought for a long time and all of a sudden the opponent starts to open up on you and you just keep calm. Guarneros looks lively though. You know, he knows what he's doing in there. Bit of fire in the belly still.
Well, he says he's still sickened by the Edwards performance when he lost on a decision at York Hall. That back in September 19. Reckons he's going to show what he's all about tonight. He said that he doesn't watch his opponents, no idea how Tommy fights. He's going to let his trainer do that. He's just going to get in there and show him what he's all about. So, bold words from him.
What I liked about Tommy there was, you know, he really made a miss, and Guarneros wound up some big punches and missed, you know, missed with them all. Now that takes an awful lot out of you, you know, and that's good for Tommy, using that good defensive and then coming back with shots of his own. And the counter, straight back with the counter there. That's good.
Frenetic finish to the round again. Guarneros trying to let the hands go, but, well, Frank just wants the last word. Well, an interesting opening round for Tommy Frank, but didn't lose composure even when under pressure, Glenn.
Yeah, no, that was really good. Nice, composed opening round. You know, his counters come back. He took shots on the gloves when Guarneros opened up, or he made a miss, but then he come back with a good counters. You know, Guarneros was lively, but you know, look at the shots he's missing with.
That was a good shot to the body from Frank as well.
No, he looks nice and composed in there. He certainly hasn't been flustered, or, you know, he doesn't look panicked by anything. You know, he looks in control.
Round two.
Well, the last fight for Frank against Martin Takua-Petler over in Ponds Forge. We were ringside for that one, Glenn. That for the vacant IBO Intercontinental Flyweight title. He's gathering a few belts, but he wants the rankings, and he knows that Dennis Hobson, with the IBF rankings, will be able to work some wonders for him, as Dennis has done in the past with the likes of Jamie McDonnell. He's worked with Clinton Woods, Ricky Hatton, Stuart Hall. He's done great work for fighters. Frank, just as ambitious.
Yeah, very much so. And you know, I'm pleased for Dennis, you know, that he's got the likes of Frank coming through. And Frank, you know, you can see he's maturing. You know, he's prepared to stand, you know, in range and just move his head, use his defense. Now, you know, you're in with a Mexican early on in a fight. You know, you've got reason to sort of move out of the way and be a little bit more defensive. You know, he's nice and composed, right in range, you know, picking his shots off. Now that's a mark of confidence. See, Guarneros opened up there. You know, he looked to let some big shots go, but Frank didn't panic, just stayed in range, tucked up, kept nice and relaxed, and then come back with counters like that. That's class.
Again, good work to body and head from Frank. Little flurry back.
Keep them up. Stay there too long, Thomas.
He was much, you know, what I like about him is, you know, he's not a one-trick pony, Tommy Frank. He can become very elusive, you know, and we've seen him when he's had to do that. We've seen him when he's just decided just to box all night, keep on the outside, or he can, you know, he can come inside and he can fight as he is here, and that's good. You know, if you're going to be world class, you need to have more to your game than just one thing, one style.
Good clever work on the inside again from Frank. And just gets out of range.
Oh, nice little right uppercut from Frank there. Class. On the right hand, finishing that off.
Another good work from Tommy Frank, who was bubbling up to be an excellent intercontinental flyweight. So a good start to this challenge tonight in the car park for Tommy Frank against Guarneros, who's come with ambition.
10 seconds, corner.
The smarter work from Tommy Frank.
Yep, slicker work, you know, very composed.
Now, round 3.
Decent jab from Guarneros there, and then a nice combination backing it up, pushing Frank against the ropes. Made the miss there though.
Being applauded by the corner there. That uppercut, Tommy Frank.
Here he comes, Tommy.
Very much the front foot fighter, isn't he, Guarneros? Always coming forward.
Yeah, I think that's where Frank's, you know, just got to be a little bit wary that he doesn't allow Guarneros to get a bit too much confidence. You know, he's got to keep, you know, putting him in his place. You know, as an opponent, there's the right hand. That's what he's got to come back with. Can't let him get too much momentum.
Good shot.
Again, that clever work on the inside from Frank. Shooting that right hand at will there.
No, it's classy and it's well-placed shots. You know, you see Guarneros, you know, he's flaying away with shots which are catching Frank on the arms and gloves, where Frank's his shots are thoughtful. A couple go through there from the Mexican, but
Off his head.
He's still trying to throw quite a lot of shots. A lot missing though.
Just relying on that. The right, very much Tommy Frank. Not done much with the left in this round.
No. Just trying to put the jab out there. Carrying that jab pretty low as well. I don't know.
Oh, you'd hope he hasn't damaged the hand.
Why are you here, Tommy?
Yeah, he's holding it. He's holding it strangely, that left hand. It's almost attached to his hip.
See if we can hear into the corner. Well, Glyn Rhodes giving the advice there. Couldn't quite catch what Tommy said in return there about the right hand.
You know, there seems to be something wrong. I think there's something wrong with his arm. Yes, they're working on it there. It's that shoulder of that left arm. There is some damage, some problem there. And you could tell the way he was carrying that left hand. It was almost stuck to his hip. He didn't seem as if he could raise it. So there's some problem there with the shoulder or the left arm of Tommy Frank.
Now, round 4.
Well, round 4, and it had been so far so good, but yeah, just curious, just only use of the right hand in that third round. Some very good work from Tommy Frank, regardless. But is he just going to be scuppered now of what looks like definitely a shoulder problem?
Well, you can tell Guarneros seemed to realize, because he did more work in the last round. You know, he was busier in the last round. Frank had some good eye-catching punches, but Guarneros was busier. You know, almost like he was trying to seize an opportunity there, and I think he senses something's not right.
He's just urging Frank on now. As you say, maybe a little bit buoyed. Slings in those hooks to the body.
Let him go, you're holding him, let him go.
Tommy.
Yeah, he's definitely having trouble picking that left hand up. You can see the way it's just carried very, very low. He's not using the jab any great effect or left hooks or anything. Yeah, he's picked up an injury. This is going to test him now. This is altogether a different contest.
Well, again, his career so far, Tommy Frank, 13 fights, 13 wins, only 3 inside the distance, but you know, he's developed really well, and this is, well, looks like it could be first kind of mini crisis, if you like, of his career, and a big night for him.
Well, in any career that is going to happen. Can't take a bath without getting wet.
Well, he's getting on with the job in hand.
Yeah,
with
you
the
know,
one hand.
He's concentrating. He's not showing a great deal of distress. You know, he's just keeping that hand low. With some good shots he's still landing with. The danger is he gets a little bit outworked in these rounds. You know, the eye-catching punches, the punches that are thoughtful, the punches that are picked, all come from Frank. But you know, Guarneros is busy.
Good right hand from Frank, though, that just did stop Guarneros in his tracks a wee bit and get a couple more of those off. Well, Tommy Frank makes his way to the corner, and that left arm still drooping slightly. Well, what a night we have here in Sheffield. Well, they are manipulating that shoulder in the corner. Tommy Frank, as Glyn Rhodes gives the instructions.
Bully him, Tommy, use that strength. Take a bit more out of him with your strength. Physically.
Here Dennis Hobson giving his instructions as well, as Frank comes out for the 5th, and you have this fairly even at this point, Glenn.
I do. You know, Frank is landing the better punches, but you know, Guarneros, you got to say the last couple of rounds is busier. You know, he's banging away with shots, and you know, you got to take them into consideration. They are landing, they are scoring shots. I mean, he's doing a good job to hide it, but you can tell just sitting on the stool, you can tell looking at his face that there is a problem. You know, you can see his thought process going on, and you know, he's trying to think, how am I going to do this? Now he's using movement and picking up with right hands. Is that going to be enough?
Well, there have been instances in the past, obviously, with fighters getting through fights with one arm when injuries have come. It's usually late in a fight. This so early in a fight. You know, if you think Danny Williams, Mark Potter, but again, it's not as desperate a situation as that, but it's so early in the fight that he's picked that injury up, that it's such a blow for him, but he's still trying to stick to the plan as best he can.
He is, but you can obviously tell now, because he's just moving around, flicking off right hands. Now, you know, can that be enough to win a fight?
Keep them up, Tommy.
Good right hand there, though, and another one. Seemed as if Guarneros was in a little bit of stress there, and another right hand. I think he's hurt him there with that right hand, Frank.
Good hook to body and head. Little uppercut from Frank as well.
Well, he's doing well in this round, Frank. Really is. So he took the play away from Guarneros with one hand.
What a real test of character for Tommy Frank. And he's moving well. Oh, another good right hand lands.
That's good work from Frank, using movement and then just picking off with right hands. He's avoiding most of the little choppy shots from Guarneros.
Well, again, we'll just see if we can hear what Glyn Rhodes is saying, what Tommy is saying, as Glyn just works on a bit of a swelling to the left eye. Can't really make out what they're saying, as former fighter Sam Speedy Sheedy's helping to manipulate that left shoulder. Get a bit of Vaseline on the eyes. Mentally, this is as well as physically, a problem, Glenn, that he's got to try and overcome.
It is, because you know it's still in the first half of the fight. You know, so he's got to be really mentally strong. But that was a very good round. He thought that out. He moved from side to side. He waited for the right opportunity to pick with his own right hand, and that worked really well.
Then right hand over the top.
Well, after that round, Tommy Frank just ahead. But it's tight.
Yeah, I've got him one round ahead. I thought it was an excellent last round. You know, can he get some confidence from that? Can he start to let that left hand go a little bit? You know what? You know, we don't know the the seriousness of the damage. Still looks strong though, doesn't he? You know, he's managing to put Guarneros on the back foot for the first time. So is Guarneros feeling the effects a little bit? You know, he's travelled an awful long way. It's a cold night in Sheffield. Nice combination from Guarneros there, though. I think that was an answer back to me.
Well, it's almost like you questioning a Mexican's toughness.
No, trust me. I've been to Mexico City. I would never do that.
Again, good work from Frankie. Could take one to land that, but
Ya sabes que va a sacar la derecha.
we're still controlling centre of the ring as well. He's dominating the round, Frank.
He is, which is very surprising. But I think he's hurt Guarneros. I think, you know, there was a couple of right hands early on that just shook him a little bit, because he's not as keen to come forward, is he? He's throwing little combinations on the back foot when Frank pushes him back, but he's not really trying to take over this fight.
And he's finding a home for that right hand pretty much every time, though, Tommy Frank, when he does throw it, head or body.
Good shot there. Just caught the jab and then land with the right. Guarneros still sharp though. He's got fast hands. Nice combination there from the Mexican.
And he goes by the name of Verdugo, which translates as the executioner. He's a very confident chap, Guarneros.
Good clubbing right hands from Frank. He's using that for overtime.
Well, another round down, and every round down is good news for Tommy Frank. Well, they're really giving Guarneros plenty of encouragement in that red corner.
10 seconds, corners.
Final instructions for Frank.
Second down, round 7.
So we've passed the halfway point in this scheduled 12-rounder for the vacant IBF Intercontinental Flyweight title here at the Sheffield Arena, in the car park of the Sheffield Arena.
Good right hand from Frank, just to start that round, really crisp. Guarneros is getting tagged with them right hands, and he's not as busy. You know, they've took a little bit out of him. You know, he's not as keen to mix with Frank after feeling those right hands. I think definitely Frank is improving in power.
Oh, the shots that Guarneros is landing, they've not been ridden a little by Frank anyway. He's moving well.
Yeah, you know, he's catching, not all of them. Guarneros is getting through, but he is catching, you know, he's making some miss, he's catching some on arms and shoulders. They're not all getting through when he throws his little flurries. That was better from Guarneros, though. Frank, it's really important that he still keeps busy. I know, you know, it's one hand, it's difficult to do that. You know, you've got to get the balance right, but it is so important.
Well, he's not been out of the gym with all the setbacks, the change of opponents, the pandemic, of course, that shuts everything down. He's just kept focused, kept training.
I used the left hand there, just popped the head up and then caught him with the right hand, Guarneros. Oh, nice little flurry from Guarneros there. Can't afford to be under pressure too much like that, Frank.
No, back of the head, okay.
A little ticking off for Guarneros for Mark Lyson. A second warning for back of the head from Guarneros.
It's busy, Guarneros, though. He's thrown quite a lot of shots. That's a better round for Guarneros.
A reddened face of Tommy Frank. The least of his worries, that shoulder obviously causing him all sorts of problems with the left hand. Can't quite make it out, but there's a serious chat going on in that corner with Glyn Rhodes. Is there a danger? Tommy, as would be natural, could be feeling sorry for yourself a little bit.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he needs to get through the next few rounds, and then obviously adrenaline, you know, with the finish line in front, you know, he'll pick himself up. But the next couple of rounds are very, very important. And, you know, the last round, he was outworked.
Well, it's very even as we enter the 8th round of the scheduled 12.
Nice right hands from Guarneros, and a good combination. He's under a bit of pressure here from the Mexican. Guarneros has got a bit of confidence. Several right hands landed there without reply.
Well, now complaints from Guarneros about back of the head when he's already been warned by the referee. They're doing exactly that.
One nice combination. A little bit, you know, all arms. Not a great deal of substance, but two nice right hands. You know, again, he's outworking Frank in this round. Left hook lands. Frank has got to start throwing punches. He's got to start using, you know, that left hand, even if he just uses it as a feeler, even if he just holds it out there.
Of course, we will find out just exactly what has happened after this fight, how severe that injury is.
But it's obviously bothering him. He's barely moved it. You know, it's almost resting on his hip for the most part, as if he can't lift it.
It takes a right, Guarneros. A real grueler of a night for Tommy Frank.
Yeah, there's lots of punches. You know, the work rate from Guarneros is good. You know, he's doing what he has to do, and that's keeping the pressure on. The punches on coming back from Frank, and this is good from Guarneros.
Well, really has been like a red rag to a bull. The injury from Frank's point of view for Guarneros' ambition and fervour.
Yeah, you just wonder if, you know, Glenn Rhodes, you know, he thinks so much of his fight as if he'll just pull the plug.
Well, it's not gone the way so far that Tommy Frank had envisioned here at the Fly DSA Arena. Well, it's all over. Glenn Rhodes has made the decision for Tommy Frank. Tommy Frank, absolutely disconsolate. He said, I've got 4 rounds, Glenn, don't do it. But Glenn Rhodes, well, he's got his fighter's interest at heart. Tommy Frank is a fighter who wants to fight on, but he's one-handed since the 3rd round. And Glenn Rhodes has made that decision, a compassionate decision. And Glenn McCrory, you can see how devastated Tommy Frank is, but what do you think? Glenn is looking after his man. Surely he's done the right thing.
You know, he is, and you know, I know Glenn very, very well. Remember, he has had tragedy in the ring with his fighters, and you know, he cares about his fighters, and there's time to fight another day. You know, and that's what sort of person Glenn Rhodes is. He's made the right decision because Tommy Frank was going to get beat there. You know, he was going to get beat. He was going to get hit with more punches, so he was going to get hit with punches he shouldn't take. Glenn Rhodes has pulled him out and made the right decision, in my opinion.
Well, this is what happened.
No way. Fucking no way. What 4 rounds on it?
Well, apologies if you picked up any language there, but of course Tommy Frank's so emotional, and Glenn Rhodes making the decision for him. He wanted to fight on, but Glenn absolutely right. 4 rounds is too much. There was punishment there being taken. Guarneros was doing what he should do.
And Guarneros was growing in confidence, and he'd realised that Frank, you know, was injured and he wasn't getting hit back with the left hand, and he was starting to unload. And you see the eye swelling up now already. So no, Glenn Rhodes did the right thing. It's sad for Frank, but you know, he can fight another day. An injury is something that, you know, you can't foresee. It's something that you just gotta see what you do, and he did the right thing.
Well, one thing as well, it is a huge night for Guarneros, who should be given his credit as well. Of course, injury has helped him in his task, but he took his opportunity tonight. A huge night for the Mexican. Just devastation, though, for Tommy Frank and the Sheffield public that have come out here tonight. But Guarneros, as you say, was buoyed. He knew that he was fighting a one-armed opponent.
You know, I've got to say credit to Frank, because you know, he was prepared to go the next 4 rounds, even injured, and he's boxed practically the whole fight with one arm.
He can't even get his t-shirt on in the ring. The shoulder is so bad, clearly. Tommy can't even get a t-shirt on. I mean, Glenn's trying to ease it over, but that's clearly an awful injury. And, you know, again, you can understand Tommy Frank's disappointment. He wanted to put on a show. He's been desperate to get in the ring after everything that's gone on in the pandemic. He's got such high hopes. He wants to fight for the British title, which he can still do. He's got all the time next year to get back on track. It's just one of those things. Again, Glenn Rhodes has, you know, kept him for another day.
Of course he can. He's just got to look at it and say, you know what, I got some rounds, I got a workout. You know, he did some good things with one arm, and you've got to say against a decent opponent, you know, that was still commendable. So you know, he stays to fight another day, and you know, he's just got to get on with it. Boxing, you know, I mean, that's what it's like. There's no sentiment in this game, and you know, you get injured, you just got to take your lumps.
Well, such a nice lad, Tommy Frank. He's had such a great journey to this point as well. You know, he started off in life in such circumstances, a hole in the heart, born with that. He's come over that adversity when he's just a baby, and again, that's helped with his mentality going through his fighting career. But again, you know, talented lad, a great character, great mentality as well. But you know, you mentioned the swelling to the eye. You can see it even more evident now, Glenn. It's dangerous, isn't it? And Glenn again, you know, that decision will look better and better.
Yeah, you know, he did the right decision, Glenn, without anything any excuses whatsoever. That was what he had to do. It is upsetting, but you know, Tommy Frank showed some very good qualities. You know, and he showed a heart, and he showed a way of trying to think his way through the fight. You know, he come out with it with a lot of positives.
Exactly, he has, and I think that's a great point, well made. And there's smiles on the face of Tommy Frank as we will get the official verdict from the referee is in place with the two fighters, and our MC is in place, Mr. Craig Stephen.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I think it's only appropriate, I'm sure you'll agree, before we declare the official result, to please show our appreciation for both our boxers in the ring. Well, ladies and gentlemen, at the end of round number 8, referee Mark Lyson accepts Glyn Rhodes, head coach Glyn Rhodes, MBE, retires his boxer with an injury. Therefore, the winner and now the IBF Intercontinental Flyweight Champion from Mexico City, Hugo Guarneros.
Well, a huge moment for Rosendo Hugo Guarneros.
He will be back. Super Tommy Frank.
And great sportsmanship from Tommy Frank, raising the arm of his opponent. Took advantage of the injury. It's his night. Big night for Guarneros. Tommy Frank